Tourism today is the tourism of must-see checklists for must-have selfies. This is what we call Tourism 3.0. It's digital tourism. It's the latest stage in the growing presence of tourism around the world and in our lives. Recreational travel, once elitist grand tourism, became more widespread with the railways in the 19th century and low-cost air carriers in the 20th century. Now, every morning when we wake up and check Instagram, we are exposed to holiday photos. Tourism has grown, and it's now, by some estimates, the world's largest commercial engine at $9 trillion a year. We asked ourselves how places are formed by the force of tourism. Like all industries, tourism is preoccupied by packaging. Places are packaged. It defines them for marketing in a strapline, presents them on defined routes, and implies they can be done in 36 hours. We find this concerning. It gives tourists a false sense of ownership of a place, which creates a tension with the local residents. It brings economic benefit and much increased footfall to a few particular honeypot sites. It also gives status to the most iconic destinations, shunning the vibrant offering of those off the beaten track. Above all, reducing places implies an inherent simplicity. On the contrary, we found on our site visits that places are complex. You can't know somewhere in 36 hours when ephemeral senses are always blending anew. Each new visit is a new experience depending on which way you turn and what crosses your path. This prevalent packaging of places in Tourism 3.0 has had its time.
Our ambition is a new paradigm, Tourism 4.0. Tourist 4.0 appreciates that they cannot do a place and they instead feel a place. Tourism 4.0 sees places not as things that can be packaged, but things to participate in. Their complexity leaves them shifting and ungraspable. From within them, we play a part in their life. As designers, we wanted to understand how places are alive. We turn to the metaphor of dreaming. In dreams, places lose a predictable logic and begin to morph according to their own logic. Places have an intensity to them, as our emotions are heightened. Lost stories resurface and combine with other stories in unexpected ways. We began to dream of better destinations. In 1968, TfL released a poster warning travellers on the newly extended Victoria line to not fall asleep, as they might end up in Walthamstow. We want to turn this on its head. Do fall asleep and do arrive in Walthamstow Central, dreaming. For Walthamstow to come alive, we had to understand how it would express itself and its stories.
We were excited by what our research of its history and culture revealed and the stories we could give a voice. This is the Stow, the iconic Greyhound racing track which closed its doors in 2008. Its famous neon sign earned Walthamstow the nickname Las Vegas at the end of the Victoria line. The Walthamstow Market is on the site of the Black Path, the ancient trail between London's meat markets. This Black Path is also black carpet, recalling Walthamstow's film heritage in the Moorish interior of Hoe Street's Granada Cinema. Walthamstow was the toy manufacturing capital of the UK. It pioneered hollow lead cast manufacturing and customizable plastic toys, Swap-its. Master sculptors worked on the moulds, a small part of Walthamstow's art heritage showcased in the E17 trail. Landlocked Walthamstow has always brought the water to its shores. The Walthamstow reservoirs were dug out from 1853 to 1904. Captain Dan King even built a lighthouse as his Methodist church. The public baths of the High Street are fondly recalled.
The ancient festival of the beating of the bounds traced the parish limits, marked by posts. However, festivities in Walthamstow were year-long in a suburb of brass band competitions and steam organs. The bounds were last walked in 1951, and by this time cycling had also taken Walthamstow by storm, with street races. The modern safety bike was actually invented in Walthamstow by John Kemp Starley. Walthamstow suffered heavy bombing in World War I at the hands of Zeppelins. The historic Rose and Crown pub was destroyed by a 100-kilo bomb, remarkably with no casualties. Walthamstow was transformed from rural to a railway suburb in the 19th century, and the population explosion created the place we know today. These newcomers were housed in terraces built with bricks from local manufacturers. Walthamstow has a rich history of politics. Clement Attlee's constituency was Walthamstow, and Churchill was famously booed off stage in the stadium. There was a speaker's column on Hoe Street. This is long gone, but there's a Robert Smirke column capital not put to use on Vestry Road.
These Waltham stories uncovered a place with a pioneering spirit and a people with a passion for the place and community. If these stories began to express themselves, Walthamstow could come alive. Let us show you this vision for Tourism 4.0. Join us on our dream trip to Waltham Forest.
I arrive into Walthamstow Central.
You're lucky to be here today, mate.
Someone says. It doesn't feel it. The station's rammed.
Pawn City, favourite for today. Odds 3 to 1. Odds 3 to 1.
What on earth is going on? The mechanical whir of the escalators soon gives way to a ruckus, and I emerge into the town square, and I can just see the blur of greyhounds over the heads of punters.
Fans sit around the outside of the track, which is anchored in the centre by a press box and a race tower accessed by ramps and a staircase. Topped with a circus canopy, the tower is a joyful icon seen across the town. As a major part of civic life, winning dogs are celebrated on a podium on the interior green.
I'm compelled on down the high street. I catch sight of a brawl through a pub window in the Chequers. Glasses are flying. Knuckle dusters too. This is an old haunt of... Hang on a minute. Is that the Cray twins? I'd better scarp it. First there were dogs in the square, sheep on the street. I almost forget this is London, before I see the livestock making tracks towards the silhouette of the city. In the din of market calls, and with that distinctive farmyard smell, I'm totally immersed. The soft mulch of the black is becoming greener. The irrigation pipes lead back to the pump house. The water gurgling through the pipes is getting faster, boiling, and soon there's steam. The pipes are venting in a series of toots, and a melody starts to become recognisable. Is that the Cranberries? I'm waiting in Walthamstow. The music starts to fade and it's up to me. I have to pedal faster to keep the melody alive, but my pedal strokes soon feel natural with the rhythm. And now it's time to move along the trail. We're up alongside the reservoir, with carp leaping out of the water. On the bridleway, I'm glad to be cycling on the flat, although it feels like I'm heading down. Where am I? I'm right on the bottom, but I think I can make out the music pipes up by the surface. Slowly returning to solid ground, waves are morphing into the floral, and it feels familiar, like an old William Morris wallpaper. A plane! That's the pilot, A.V. Rowe, coming from the marshes. That's Britain's first successful flight. All this movement comes to a halt though. In fact, everything pauses. With their lead weight, this is an imposing army, assembled from all time and places. Cars certainly aren't going through this way. We weave our way around and through them, away from the William Morris Gallery past Ruby Stables. I catch sight of a lighthouse in the distance, and I'm led by its beam reflecting from the water washing past my feet. As we walk on, it becomes apparent that the Granada is the source. Inside, while bobbing in its pool, I watch the water lap its shore of seeds.
The Granada Cinema's large auditorium, currently unused, is flooded. The steps and levels of this grand architecture become a system of rapids. Diving boards and water cannons bring an adventure for locals and visitors alike.
Outside, the Beatles are en route to another flooded venue. The town is full of life. These balloons must mark out many parties diffusing into the afternoon air. The Walthamstonians opened up a bay bar in the window of their terrace, and I found a spot with a bit of sun. I'm after a drink. And here it comes, lowered from the first floor window. Soon I'm being raised up, past this first floor and higher still, looking down on Walthamstow from a hot air balloon, everything modelled toy scale. Our flight path descends into a billow of smoke, and it's hard to make out where we're heading. I was looking down, and now I'm looking out onto the town hall, framed by the form of a terraced house. Inside it's busy, and I've got a handful of postcards, which feel faintly like I've gathered them from my trip.
The frame house celebrates Walthamstow's iconic terraces on an unused lot on Kenilworth Avenue. Its transparent frame and its many back garden gates symbolise its accessibility. As a domestic architecture, this is a place for people, next to the municipal town hall. It embodies our idea of recalling lost stories of Walthamstow. The letterboxes that forest the front garden collect the memories which are dropped off. Inside, people gather for conversations, and smoke from the chimney lets people know when meetings are ongoing.
I'm off past the town hall. I was only there on Saturday night, and out of the hubbub of the town centre. This safety bike might be old, but it rides a lot better than a penny farthing. Picking up the pace, the sense of the forest enveloped me as I head down to Vestry Road. Word is that Clement Attlee's doing a talk on healthcare, but I'm the one on stage. I'm feeling faint. I try to open my mouth.
This is Walthamstow Central, where this train terminates. Change, please. Change here for National Rail Services.
It's been a journey. We've learned lots about tourism as an idea and a lot about Walthamstow as a place. The stories of Walthamstow were out of sight on our initial visits, but there is a buried treasure trove. We believe that places can't be packaged. Instead, they are always changing, just out of reach. And why do we bother packaging them? If we let places have a life of their own, they might tell us some of these stories. Someone you know has just been to the end of the line, Walthamstow, the beginning of New Tourism 4.0.